Som vi kan se, så er fortet stadigvæk i brug. En rigtig gammel fortdør. Lad os se. Det er en sjov blanding af meget nyt og meget gammelt på en med hinanden. Hvordan der er åbent eller?
Ja, der er måske åbningstider.
Ja. Ja. Det er mere portrætter her, ikke?
Ja.
Five-sided fort. It extends from that wall over there up to that wall over there.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
The width of the fort.
Yes.
Now, for you to understand, you are already underground. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You see the wall over there?
Yes.
The natural wall. So the hill used to come to the top of over here. Okay? Now, at the time when they were building these fortifications, instead of building a fort on top of which we use basically for our training purposes.
Yes, I can see that.
Building, these are vehicles, fire engines,
Yeah.
It's all up and down, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I love some old buildings.
Yes, I have to explain, because as you can see, all you're going to see is concrete, stone,
Yes,
you know, but I
yes.
have to explain.
Yes.
We are now on the outer part of the old five-sided fort.
Yes.
So the width of the fort starts from that tower over there, okay, and stops over here. That is the width. Now, originally, in the 1880s and 90s, they had 3 guns. They were big. There were 6-inch guns, okay. And they used to be situated behind a wall, en barbette, okay, a French term. And the guns, each gun used to weigh about 12 tons. It had a gun crew of 9 or 10 personnel. And the gun would be basically situated behind a wall. They don't no longer exist, with the barrel pointing out towards the sea. Now you'll see. And the way they used to work was that underneath us here, there are the ammunition stores.
Yes.
Okay, they would bring up the shell, okay, with big heavy shells by block and tackle, okay, with rope. 4 soldiers would carry the shell towards either the front or as the back of the gun, because between the 1880s and 90s, I don't know if you know, but the whole idea of
Oh yeah.
is all gone.
Yes. It's very, very old to look at.
So here's the other one for the other gun over here.
Okay, yes.
This is one of what we call the counter-scarp gallery. Okay,
Yes.
so it goes all the way down underneath the fort and comes to the other side of the fort, where you would have just a room such as this. Okay, where originally they had these 32-pounder guns.
Okay.
The fire, grape shot, shrapnel shot, and all that. Then they changed it to rifles. Okay.
Yeah.
And then eventually they also had a machine gun to fire all the way through.
Yes.
Okay. So that is about that. Come up here. It's going to be windy. So.
Yep.
The footing. Okay. About this. Today is unfortunately a day with very, very poor visibility. You cannot see much because normally you can see Gozo very easily.
Yeah.
So over there, basically you have Gozo over there, Comino, Melilla, St. Paul's Bay, Aura, coming all the way here towards Salina. But where we are standing now is the only place in all of Malta where you can see all one side of Malta. But even if you go all the way down they have St. George's, St. Julian's, Slema, Valletta, just over 2.5 miles, and you can see all the way down south. Remember, there were no trees then.
No.
You know, you can see all the way down south to Marsa Scala, Marsa Shlok. And Grand Mama was just 2.5 miles away from here. And the whole idea was with Fort Pembroke down here, Fort Madalena, Fort Mosta over the hill. The whole idea was to defend that side of the island in case Malta was ever going to be attacked. But the guns they had here, around here, weren't very big guns. They were 6-inch guns, and they could only fire about 8,000 yards,
Yes.
okay, 5-6 miles. The ships at the time were changing from sailing ships to steamships, and they were getting more and more powerful, and they could start zigzagging also, and they were also getting more and more stronger. And they wanted to put in bigger guns within this fort. I told you the fort was not big enough, so they made an extension of the fort all the way down here, all around, and they put in these two 9.2-inch guns.
New ones,
okay?
yes.
Much new ones, okay?
Yeah.
They were ready by 1905, and they remained here until World War II, until 1950. They changed them several times, all the time from.
Yes.
Now all this, was left here on purpose, because in Malta we have 2 seasons. We have the wet season, which starts from now till about March, and then we have no rain from March till about October, November. Now in summer, because it is so dry, everything changes from green to brown and then to yellow.
Yes.
Now they wanted these forts, they wanted them to be silent and quiet, and with nobody will know about them. There were about 80 soldiers and gunners within this fort, just all the time maintaining all the guns to be ready to be used only when Malta was going to be attacked. And the whole idea was that these forts would be used for maybe 1, 2, 3 hours to fire out as many shells as possible at the enemy ships trying to attack the Grand Harbour or any other place, knock out as many ships as possible, and that was the whole purpose of these forts, to knock out as many ships as possible before they could reach Malta.
Yes.
Okay? The military commander, the man in charge of the guns, of all the guns, he would be stationed over there. Okay, he would have the view of the 2 guns over there and the 3 guns behind him. He would receive all the communication in this room over here, where they had a form of telegraph system, and they would inform him from Lascaris headquarters in Valletta that the enemy are coming, so wake up all the soldiers, get all the guns ready, because even the way they used to work, those guns, they are no longer existing. They used to work it used to be called a hydropneumatic system, which is basically like a steam engine. They used to heat up water in a boiler, and with the pressure of the steam, then they could swivel the gun around and fire out the shell as much as possible.
Okay, yes.
Okay? That's also, which is interesting, when they were always preparing and waiting for the enemy to come, and they never actually came, because when this fort was ready by 1880, until World War I, nothing happened in Malta, because we were the nurse of the Mediterranean. It is basically all the troops from Gallipoli and from Turkey. They were all the injured soldiers were brought here, and it became one major hospital in Malta. But until World War II, Malta was never attacked, and in World War II, just attacked heavily by the Italians and the Germans, mostly from the air.
Yeah, yes.
You know, there was just one incident when the Italians tried to attack the Grand Harbour.
Yes.
I have to explain to you because you will not understand what there is. You will just see stone and concrete. You understand?
Yeah, yes.
There's a reason for everything. Be careful. Okay? Now, an interesting part is that for the first 30, 40 years when this fort was built, the soldiers and the gunners were never actually stationed inside the fort. They used to live in tents outside the fort.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and it was only after about 40, 50 years when they had the time and the money that they actually came to this side of the fort. They scooped out the side of the hill here,
Yeah.
and they built these, what they call casemates.
Yes,
Okay, you know,
casemates, yes.
Casemates. They're all the same. There are 6 of them.
For the soldiers.
For the soldiers, basically,
Yes.
and they used to sleep 20 in each of them. So 20, up to 80, 100, 100 personnel. I think they're all closed. They're all the same.
Okay.
Okay, you see, this one should be open. This is our locker room, basically, where our people change. Now it's all different, But basically they're all the same, These are used now for our people for changing their clothes and everything.
Yeah, but here was the soldiers sleeping and
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it was. Okay. Okay, so toilets, that is a dormitory over there also. We sleep our people nowadays. Okay. As you can see, we are underground completely. So
Yes.
See here's the natural rock.
Yes.
Nowadays, this fort, it still belongs to the army. The army have as you saw the soldiers coming in, they need here because of this basically, because of the communication. Because this is being used by the army, by the police, and also by the hospital, because it is like a relay station. It gives good radio reception to pass on information.
Yes.
And also on the other side, that radar is still being used, and it's going around all the time and seeing all the ships passing by.
Yeah.
It can zoom in onto any small boat, even 5 miles out, and see about drug trafficking, about illegal immigrants,
Yeah.
What about that? So now we are on the other side of the fort, of the original fort. There used to be a gun situated on top of here. That used to be the ammunition lift.
Yeah.
Underneath us there is an ammunition store. The problem with this ammunition store was that they always had the gunners always used to complain about the lack of air inside this particular store. So what did they do? They built these 4 chimneys which went all the way down, and they had these like aerator fans which no longer exist. So they could have enough air so they would not faint when they're carrying the shells and everything. Once upon a time, these used to open up.
Yeah.
Used to slide open, and the aerators used to go around. It's the beginning of air conditioning, aerators they're called, okay? And air used to funnel all the way down to the room underneath here where they had all the shells. Basically, obviously, as you can see with time, weather has done its work, and I need 8,000 euros to fix it up. Eventually, we'll do it. Okay, now we're coming to maybe the more modern side of things. After World War I, nothing much happened, and the whole world was in a bad state because of the Great Depression, 1920s, 30s. But by the middle of the 1930s, the British started spending money again on fortifications and this particular fort. Why? Because Mussolini of Italy started flexing his muscles. He started looking towards Africa and Malta and wanted to take over everything, Abyssinia and all that. So they built a new pillbox, a new high-angle point up there. They put in 4 anti-aircraft guns around the fort also, because then there were aircraft, and aircraft could see everything which before they couldn't see. And the fort was ready for World War II, the whole idea.
Okay.
Built in the 1950s, okay, by the Royal Air Force. I'll explain. Okay. Nowadays we use this here the evening when we finish all our training, we come here to our mess, we have a drink and something to eat.
Okay, the bar. A hospital.
Yes. These are the 9.2-inch shells, which they used
Wow.
to, yes, yes.
It was heavy.
152 kilograms. Very, very heavy. And these used to fire out, 20, 30 miles.
Yeah.
To enter into a battleship, which had armor plating, and try and blow it up. That was the whole idea. Okay.
This is easy to understand.
This is our lecture room where we give lectures to our people.
Yes. Teaching, learning. This is
Once a week we get people here and we train them in what we do in life saving, in firefighting, in climbing, in rope work, in knots, in first aids. We are like a civil protection, we help the civil protection department in these things. Now what is over here was built in the I told you in the 1950s. Okay.
looks quite modern.
Much more modern. We just painted it and then made it much more decent because it was all crumbling, so it makes much more sense to us. Let's go back in time. Before, I told you, the soldiers used to sleep in tents outside the fort because there weren't any rooms where they could sleep, and they used to have to cross from that side of the hill each day and walk all the way to here. Now, what they were doing?
Yes, we tied and.
Interesting story. So, basically, I've done my tour of the fort. Basically, if you have any questions, please ask. Always nice. You put in your details. This is not our main role. Our main role really here is in training people. Here's our training school.